Great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's move forward. We have a very, very interesting panel discussion coming up right now. And that would also mean the stage getting a brand new makeover as well. So I think all of us are aware that, previously we used to see endorsements by celebrities as such, right? Brands used to leverage on celebrities for promoting their particular product. And I think with digitalization, we have recently seen the rise of influencers and, of course, influencer marketing. And this is here to stay indeed. And I think this is the best way the brands are also leveraging on influencers to ensure that they reach their target audience. So that's our topic for this panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen, on social media and influencer marketing in the luxury industry specifically, looking at the marketing trends and the way forward as well. So who's going to be participating in this discussion? We have, of course, the luxury brands, retailers, and influencers as well, who will be participating in this discussion over here. So let me go ahead and first invite the moderator for the session. We have with us Mr. Anil Prabhakar, who's a jewelry and watch industry analyst. Yes, let's have a huge round of applause for our panelists joining us as well. Coming up next, we have Meenakshi Kovadekar, who's a luxury blogger, podcaster, and an influencer as well. Let's continue with the round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very interesting topic indeed. We also have Aarti Saxena, Director and Head of Marketing for World Gold Council, that's WGC. We also have Vandana Jagwani, who's the Creative Director for Mahesh Notandas Fine Jewelry and founder for Vandals. And we also have Amit Pratihari, who's the General Manager for De Beers Forever Mark. All right, then, Mr. Prabhakar, over to you.
Good evening. With three gorgeous, intelligent ladies, this is by far the most glamorous panel on Mapic platform. Do you agree? And there is a spiritual side to these ladies. Meenakshi is Devi, Aarti and Vandana, prayer, worship. So I think you are going to have a very good time. Now coming to the subject, how many of you do not know God Gopal Das? Please raise your hand. Everybody knows God Gopal Das. He has famously said that if you think you are too small to make a difference to this world, try sleeping in a room full of mosquitoes. One mosquito can make your life miserable. I will modify the statement a little bit and say, if you think you are too small to make a difference to this world, try social media. And I'll give you an example. Neena Gupta, everybody knows, she was out of work. With one post, she got so many offers in the film world, and you know Badai Ho. The rest is history. So while God Gopal Das is a change maker, now the topic for our discussion today is about business. And the parallel themes of Mapic are innovation, sustainability, and human connection. So I will talk about sustainability a little bit. If you have seen today's net, Patagonia, which is the most respected brand and it's a sustainable brand. The owner of Patagonia, his name is Yvon Chouinard. He has donated his entire profits for the planet to become a better place to live in. So this is about the preamble. We will now begin with our panelists. So we'll first begin with Aarti, A for Aarti. So I would like to ask you, Aarti, see gold. Okay, before we switch to gold, how has social media worked for you? Because you have been doing a lot of activities around social media. So please run us through.
Thanks, Anil. Hello, everyone. I represent Gold from World Gold Council, and like you said, social media has impacted not just the luxury marketing, but I think all businesses in a big way. When we look at social media, there is social apps and social media. There are so many avenues available. The best part about social media is the interactivity that it gives us. It has impacted our marketing so much because when we look at interacting and engaging with the consumer, and especially when I'm talking about our core focus is the younger generation, which is the millennial and Gen Z, and we've been launching a lot of campaign and a lot of activity talking to them, and that's where social media has played a really big role. It's not just about the advertising side of it, but it's also about the engagement. It's also about the community building. It's also about the interactivity that it's brought. From community building, I would like to give an example, Anil. Way back in 2012, we saw there is a gap in the market. When we looked at the internet, there's a lot of chatter around gold, but it's more to do with the functional side of it, gold pricing. And there was not a very rich or engaging content that we had. We launched a social brand called Love Gold, which specifically focused on creating a lot of content through people who love wearing gold and people who design beautiful gold. And that really impacted our marketing, and we promoted through social media. And that really had a huge impact because there was so much of chatter around gold through that launch. And it also helped us in increasing the share of voice. So social media has been a disruptor for the marketing as fraternity, but also specifically for luxury marketing and for us as well.
So Amit, I'll come to you now. Forever Mark has also been very active in social media, physical as well as the digital world. So how has social media worked for you and why?
So I think, first of all, social media platform is evolving. Every brand, be it in a luxury segment or in any category, they're all evolving and learning. Particularly when you come to our category of business, which is which is a symbol of love and expression of your good times and celebration of your precious moment in your life. So it is very, very important that we narrate our story more meaningfully. And when you select a brand, you need to know what it is contributing back to the society when you talk about sustainability, or what does that particular product or category where you're addressing the need of the end client. That story need to be told very well. And with the help of social media, I think it gives us an enormous reach to the larger audience. And we are learning from both the digital platform, and at the end of the day, when we do some social event, get-together event wherein with our private client, it helps us narrating the story of De Beers diamond. That what does the diamond do good to the society, what it brings to the end client. So this platform helps us narrating our story much better way. Because you have limited time, so in that 30 seconds, you have to tell your story. So I foresee that content is like water, okay? But this medium like be it Insta or Facebook, this kind of platform is required to narrate your content more meaningfully, going in the coming days.
So Vandana, why do you think social media works for a luxury brand?
Actually, luxury brand cannot be just social media, because luxury, once it crosses a certain price point, people need the feel and touch. But this is how the world communicates nowadays a lot. It's how you relate to people. And it's back to that age-old thing about, actually the largest influence on people is people, like word of mouth in general. And it's still that. It's just the way people communicate has changed. They're not talking on the phone every day. The way you know someone's good, your good friend, maybe you're just liking the Instagram post and you're fond of that person. So social media basically is a way of communicating with each other, and that is actually the word of mouth going on, just the channel has changed. So, and that's the main, and you get to showcase your product without people coming. And nowadays people also don't have that much time to come and check everything out. They want it conveniently. Like how online shopping took a boost, 24 hours. You don't have to come at working hours. You can check out the things around you. So social media saves their time, is convenient, and the way social media has been built right now, where people can even communicate with each other, has what's enticed people more into social media. So yeah.
So Meenakshi,
Hello.
you started your social media journey 2 years ago. That's what you told me.
Yes.
So how has it worked for you, and how have you used that medium to build a personal brand?
So honestly, it started very organically, and being a lover of luxury things, I've had great experience. I actually said that, I'm going to put out there on social media what I love, what my passions are, which were travel, which were fashion, which were beauty, which were jewelry. And as a consumer, I actually came from a place of authenticity because I actually was using these things. I was actually promoting what I had experienced, what I had bought, or what I was offered to try out and then promote. So it was about making human connections. It was about changing perceptions of the audiences that were kind enough to follow me, and kind of passing on the message and my knowledge of things that I loved in the luxury segment. And I think because I was a consumer, it kind of picked up very organically, and people wanted to reach out because this was not just some 20-year-old skinny 6-foot model who was trying to show something. This was an actual person who was relatable, who was original in the thought process, and so many influencers today are, or social media content creators, because they come from a space of, okay, this is what we've tried and we think it's fantastic, so why don't you try it too? Yeah.
Great. So, since influencer, the word, it's quite vast in its scope. I would request Amit, Vandana, and Aarti to share their notion of who an influencer is all. When I asked, because see, for me, I have not been able to influence even my parents or my children. So I asked my daughter, ये influencer क्या होता है? अरे डैडी आपको इतना भी नहीं पता है. The people who spread influenza are called influencers. So on a lighter note, I've said this. Please begin.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting word. And if you look at the influences are always there from generations when you look back. When you are a kid, you always look up to your father or some uncle who influence you in all the decision making or decisions you take in life. And with the change in time, if you look at, actually we are becoming more antisocial than social, because your maximum time what you spend is with your mobile. And with that platform, so most of the brands, we come into that platform because that is the only medium to spread your content. And the role of influencer, because of this digital platform, there are personality you get attached to and you relate to. For example, in a personal space, I like running. So I do long distance ultra marathon run. I like Kipchoge. So what he does in his life, somewhere it has an impact. So I follow him and I try to read the books he reads, try to train the way he trains. Similarly, in the category of brands and luxury, like what she's doing here, like people who are close, dear friends, they follow her, what she wears, what she talks about, because it's just not about telling the story, but since it is coming from her, it comes with authenticity. So it's not about just giving any content, but it is giving content with more authenticity. And if it comes from somebody you follow, somebody you are inspired, that's where the influencer plays a big role. And it is not only on digital platform. We have tried offline physical store, wherein we have hosted few evening to tell the story of De Beers Diamond. So, and it is very, very impactful. Although I would say digital platform makes a big impact on it. But if you look at ROI, the physical, event, and when you take the help of influencer and host the evening, those are very, very meaningful and a good return on investment, I must say.
Actually, I really agree with Amit, is influencers are everywhere, all over your life. Because what an influencer is basically someone you aspire to, you trust and respect. It can be your father, basically anyone you respect. Sometimes you'll see certain people who respect their boss so much start emulating their life, not just in their working decisions, but the lifestyle they live, or they're so inspired by them, they do certain things like that. That's just someone you respect, look up to, aspire to be, and who's earned your trust that, okay, what you're doing is right. Human beings in general are social creatures. They are going to be influenced by each other. How much ever everyone says they are different or I am self-expressing, a lot of it is reflecting each other, or either in a competitive space or in a follow space. So it's just that since the age-old time, people have always been influenced. If women going to kitty parties were looking at each other, oh, I want the same bag she has. It's just the way we communicate has changed. So it's changed more into a digital platform. And I wouldn't say it's changed actually, it's added another platform. Because the core still remains. They might still look at each other physically using the product, and which is why from celebrities to influencers, it's kind of middle category, where it's like a real person, but not your friend, but something you can see using in the same space. So that reality comes where people think, okay, yes, like it's my friend wearing it, because the communication is more open of a digital influencer compared to a celebrity. They might connect with you more, react with you more. So it's that space where you look up to, but it's relatable. So it's just another platform. It's the in-between platform between a celebrity and someone sitting right next to you, you look up to.
Aarti?
I think they have covered most of the point, and I completely agree. Fundamentally, influencing is always been there, and this is a newer form because the world is moved. It's more digital now. So that's the big change. In terms of influencers, why it's working is basically the kind of credibility it brings. She spoke of authenticity. When we look at the influencers, we are looking at them to get inspired, at times for knowledge, like he spoke about his marathon. So these kind of things is why we're looking at influencers, and the kind of content they can create, the way they engage with their consumer is something which is working wonders for the brands. So in that sense, influencers marketing has been working for us big time, and I think influencers is a space, a set of people who are actually, with kind of knowledge they are able to influence their set of followers. I think that's been a great disruptor in the entire social media marketing.
Okay. So if I have to summarize, and I have also done a little bit of reading, uh, according to a definition that I have read, that we are talking about influencers in the commercial parlance, in the commercial context. Now, an influencer is a person who has a huge fan following on social media, and they can influence a purchase decision by their behavior. And because they have knowledge, they have relationship and understanding of the subject. This is, if I have to summarize the elements of an influencer. So now coming to Meenakshi, you think you are an influencer, and whatever we have said, do you agree with it or not? What's your take?
Okay, so yes, I am very proud to be an influencer. In the beginning, I was denying it and saying, no, I'm just a podcaster. But then when I started getting good work and being approached to promote brands, I said, why not embrace the opportunity and own who you are? So basically, I feel that they've summed it up pretty well. The only difference as a person who's doing the work is I think there's a lot of elements of different areas involved that make us successful in pushing products for sales. So for example, it's a combination of expertise on a particular topic or more. For me, it would be, fashion, beauty, jewelry, and F&B because I love food. So I think it's a combination of your knowledge of it and how you put it out there. That's why people use different influencers. I host events too. So then people come, as he said so, well, that they come because they trust the judgment of the person who's hosting. They like their choice. They listen to their opinions, and it's a way of presenting. So there's a lot of marketing involved. There's a lot of personal branding and advertising involved, which is the credibility you bring when you put something out there. So even if you're shooting a picture or a video, a reel, or hosting an event, people are going to look at it because they like what you're saying or what you're looking like or what you're wearing or promoting. And they feel inspired, hopefully, to go and try it too. It's also opening their minds to newer things. Say newer products being launched, say newer kinds of jewelry in the market, be it lab-grown diamonds, being new styles and designs, in fashion trends. Normally a woman would say, oh, but I'm a mother of two and I don't know if I can wear that. But then when they see someone who's also a parent or a wife or a global traveler, they will say, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. So that's the thing. So we are there representing brands and pushing sales in a more organic way, an authentic way, but also we're helping brands to sometimes even change their images, present themselves with newer, views to newer audiences. And the beauty is it works globally when it's online. So, the world is your oyster then.
Thank you, Meenakshi. See, it is commonly believed that influencers will not do anything unless they are paid for. But I can vouch for the fact that Meenakshi has not been paid to talk on this platform. None of us are being paid. Huh? By the way, none of us are being paid.
No, we are here because we love what we do.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So, going a little bit granular, all speakers have worked with influencers. So, there are various types of influencers, starting from nano up to celebrity influencers. So, Amit, can you share the ecosystem, how the influencers classified, and what is your experience of working with them?
So, in terms of classification, you have nano, micro, macro, and the mega one. So, if, like for example, for us, when we are doing a season launch or a mega campaign, we go for mega influencer, wherein we have a larger audience to address. At the same time, the objective of using each influencer is very, very different. But just to give an example, if we are doing a influencer activity with a nano influencer, we would like to go for a physical event because she has a very limited set of followers, but very well connected. She has a larger influence to her followers because of the number of followers are very, very limited. But if you're looking for A-tier, B-tier cities, depending on what your objective is, be it a store launch, then a nano and a micro will work probably. But if you are looking for a mega campaign or a city classification, a large city campaign, then you have to settle down somewhere between a macro and a mega kind of activity. It all purely depends on in your objective. In the physical store, what we do particularly is that we do a lot of nano and micro influencer activity in the physical store, wherein we not only promote the brand about the particular design or a collection on the social media platform, but at the physical store along with their private clients and host them, so that it gives an opportunity to tell our story much better. They can touch, feel the product, and of course bargain about it. That's how the world works here. So I think it's purely depend what is your objective you want to achieve from using those influencers. But each has its own role. You may have a good story, but you need a narrator whom people believe in it. That's where the influencer playing a big role out there. So, and I think going forward in the coming days, we are choosing influencer based on their, a specific job. Recently, we used an influencer who is from a legal background. She was an advocate, but she had a set of followers who purely believes in her because of all the good he does in her work. So it's just not that you are a luxury brand, you need to only have, say, luxury influencer. The rule doesn't work. It depends on authenticity, what kind of network you want to build, what kind of message you want to give. So it purely depends on the message and what you want to achieve out of it, if I may say.
Thank you. Aarti, you had a very successful campaign, You Are Gold. And in that campaign, you have used different types of influencers. So if you can share some insights and the experience, how did it work for you, where the objectives met, it would be really wonderful for all of us to understand.
Sure, absolutely. Just to give you context on You Are Gold campaign, the entire campaign was conceptualized highlighting the defining moments of women's life because it was targeted towards the millennials and Gen Z, and celebrating it with gold. That's why it's called You Are Gold. How we looked at influencers marketing, first, like Amit mentioned, we looked at from nano to celebrity. From content perspective, one thing I wanted to highlight here is it's very important that influencers are not used as an extension of your campaigns so that you can just disseminate your messaging. It has to be very meaningfully integrated in the core messaging. It has to be storytelling. He also spoke about the storytelling part of it. So in our influencer campaign, what we focused on is getting together a lot of such influencers from different genres, which included travel, Paralympic player, food, even the actors, the celebrities, across different categories, and we brought into life their real life stories and how they did not give up, how they realized their dream, and how they celebrated with gold. And with this meaningful integration, what we did is with nano influencers, because with nano you have limited reach, they have less number of followers, but they are very high on engagement. So we used nano influencer to target very specific set of audience, and we amplified it. We actually tied up with one of the biggest fashion publication in India, and we amplified those influencers so that not only that we target very specific audience, we get high engagement through nano influencer, but we also get a high reach through our partnership with the fashion publication. This is how we looked at the smaller influencers, the nano and the micro. On the other side, we looked at the bigger ones, which are the mega influencers. We tap them for their reach. The storytelling remains same. It's integral part of how they have kind of lived their life, how they have faced their challenges. But definitely looking at these influencers for a mass reach, because someone like a movie Pednekar, who has around 8 million followers, tapping them. In fact, we are also in the upcoming season, we're also looking at even bigger celebrities, which is around 25 million followers, talking to them, telling their stories with a beautiful integration, a very meaningful integration of gold, and ensuring that the messaging is reaching their set of followers. In terms of the impact, we've had very good impact, because we've been not only look at the reach and the engagement number, but we also have commissioned consumer survey. And recently the results have been out, and the share of voice, the change in perception, especially looking at this particular channel, which is the influencer marketing, there's been an increase in there's been a clear increase in score on how consumers or our target audience has perceived gold. So it's been very successful for us, and using all different type of influencers has really helped us a lot.
Okay, great. So before we move on to Vandana, I will share 2 cents from my experience. Celebrity and influencers definitely work. To give you a concrete example, look at Aishwarya Rai. She has been the face of Longines for so many years. And believe me, Longines is not a ladies brand, it is not a women's brand. But because of the association of Aishwarya with the brand, she was first selected as a local or a regional brand ambassador. But because of her popularity, she became a global influencer. And the choice was game-changing thing for the brand. Now, the flip side of the coin is the credibility. Look at Alia Bhatt. Alia Bhatt endorses Mohe, Manyavar Mohe brand. And what did she wear for her wedding? Sabyasachi. So there are ways and means for brands and companies to protect themselves. For example, I have worked with the Swiss watch industry, and what they do is when they sign an agreement with a brand ambassador, for example, I was with Rado and we had an agreement with Lisa Ray. So in the agreement, it was clearly mentioned that Lisa, whenever there is a public performance or a public appearance, or there is a chance of getting photographed, she will wear only Rado. That's how they used to protect their own interest. So this is something which we Indians have to learn. Otherwise, to avoid fiasco like Alia and Mohe. You know. So, Vandana, you have worked with all kinds of influencers. So share your 2 cents.
Yes, of course. We had Neetu Kapoor and Radhima Kapoor earlier, and then we had Gauri Khan. And it's just not about the influencer, like how right now we're saying influencers are more relatable. All the people we have chosen have been relevant to the era that we were working in. So at that time, when we had them for 10 years, Neetu Kapoor and Radhima, it was about family. It was about a married woman and with a daughter, not just someone who's a celebrity. And that was good for 10 years. Then when we got Gauri Khan, the whole rise of powerful women, individual women working came on. So we got that. And then after a point, the mega influencers, what becomes also depends on the size of the company and the channels you use. And also if you realize print media almost became extinct. And on digital media, everything moves so quickly, it's way better to work with influencers like who are relevant right now because they are creating the content like Meenakshi, they're talking to the consumers, they're actually sitting amongst the audience and that is what people want. Whereas like you rightly said with the big influencers, yes, they do not always wear your jewelry or your clothes. Like Tanishq had Deepika Padukone for so long and she has worn her jewelry so much because at the same time, they're building their brand. So they will not compromise on their style and what the stylist says. So you can have a few clauses, but it's the whole game is changing. If you want a mega influencer, also it's really hard to lock them in as a brand ambassador. It's all about content creation. You do a shoot with them, or you create a lot of content with people you think work for your brand. And yes, like Amit said, they don't have to be luxury or fashion all the time. It's just the target audience, the people you're looking to, the people you want your brand to relate to. Like, I cannot give my brand jewelry to an 18-year-old skinny girl like Meenakshi rightly said. But someone like her is beautiful for my brand and the content she creates, it works for me. And she is authentic. So that's why I feel like it's really your size, the channels you're targeting. Like he said, in store, sometimes you go to a different city to exhibit. You might just get a socialite to host for you. That's also a form of influencing. For digital media, they are specialists. For print, you might take a mega one, but how long does print last? And the second thing comes is, for print right now, everything is so visual, you need to create not one campaign in a year and use those 6 images for the entire year. You need one campaign every month, even in print. So it's just about the amount, the size, the channel, and you kind of have to target all, but what you choose, but that's what I would say.
You have made a very valid point that it all depends on the need of the brand or the organization when it comes to selecting a influencer, celebrity or nano or mega, whoever is. So recently, you mentioned Deepika Padukone. Recently, Louis Vuitton signed her. So I remember the famous line from Om Shanti Om. एक चुटकी सिंदूर की कीमत जानते हो रमेश बाबू. So today if you ask her to become your influencer, maybe hypothetically speaking, I know forever Mark can afford, but she will say, मेरे एक tweet की कीमत जानते हो अमित बाबू. So now coming to Meenakshi, how do you go about selecting a brand and how do you do research on the brand and also share, since you have worked with a lot of jewelers, what exactly do you bring to the table?
So I think that for me, I don't know how much time we have, but I'll try to keep it short. So for me, it happened that the first campaign that I got for jewelry came through my family jeweler. And they were doing a campaign with women for Women's Day. They wanted a legacy mother-daughter thing. And when that happened, I posted it on social media. And then a lot of jewelers started approaching me. Also, like I said, I'm a consumer. So I brought along the experience and the access and the knowledge of, trust and credibility. That, okay, if she's buying, then she'll obviously buy good quality, and speaking about it, storytelling was a big part of it. I was one of the first few people 2 years ago who started going, even when people were scared to get out after the first wave of COVID, into stores and doing walkthroughs, and then everybody started doing it. So I think the relatability, the access, and the fact that you can vouch that, okay, and I am someone who's picky and selective I don't just go for any, I actually stick by that I will promote what I will use and wear. So I try as far as possible to stick to that. So that really worked in my favor. And I think the fact that people looked at me as a luxury consumer and someone who does wear this kind of jewelry, who does wear these kind of clothes, who does go to these kind of restaurants in her daily life. So her content, her storytelling is real, is what worked for me.
Okay, now we have very few minutes left. In fact, they are saying time up, but I will take a few minutes more. We'll take liberties. See, stylists as influencers, that category has really caught on. And stylists are influencing a lot of purchase decisions of the consumers, and they are a bridge between the consumer, the brand, as well as the social media. So just to give you an example, stylists were always very powerful. To give you an example, films, Bollywood films. the look of the star is determined by the stylist. So being Indians, we know jugaad. So in Switzerland, that used to be a very favorite destination of Bollywood people. So we caught hold of a celebrity, stylist, who was doing the look for a film called Mujhse Dosti Karoge, which had Hrithik Roshan. So our agency was able to influence the stylist, and they gave a few watches. And he said, I can't guarantee, but I will try and give it to Hrithik, and if he wears it, it can be noticed on his wrist. So as luck would have it, instead of Hrithik Roshan wearing it, it appeared on the wrist of Kiran Kumar. And later on, after a few years, Hrithik Roshan became the brand ambassador. So with this incident, I would like to know your experience, Vandana, because you have been working with stylists really very frequently. Yeah.
So I was going to say that only, that actually, like even Meenakshi rightly said, it is self-branding. There's a lot of work goes. It's in a way a lot of self-imagery, how you're portraying yourself, so people look at you as someone excellent in the world, saying that even a brand can be an influence themselves, De Beers being the biggest example, influence the entire world to buy diamonds in general. But it's about building that authenticity for yourself too. So there's influencing in itself is very multi-layered. It's every channel you have to target, and you cannot let go of your own identity either. So like I said, influence is just about respecting and trusting and being aspirational towards someone, and that has to come in every form of your business, in every promotion, with every person who wears you. It even comes with a right consumer wearing you or a wrong consumer wearing you. That also influences your actual business, and it's what businesses do themselves also do. And stylists have also put in a lot of effort now in marketing themselves. Earlier, they would be behind the scenes. They themselves are putting themselves out on the scene. They are asking for the credits from every celebrity. Like a celebrity might not tag the brand they are wearing, but they will tag the stylist. So that's why stylists have also picked up a lot of their own influence.
So my closing example is a new term has emerged in this social media circles, that is influencer commerce. And what does it mean? Influencer commerce means the influence becomes a part of the channel, sales channel. To give a concrete example, Mia by Tanishq, which is a jewelry brand, and Daniel Wellington, which is a watch brand. You know how they engage with the influencers, because ultimately the influencer have to make money somewhere. So what they do is the influencer talks to their network, and each influencer is given a code. For example, Meenakshi 25. So all that the follower has to do is to go and buy the particular brand and quote that code, Meenakshi 25. So she gets a 25% discount, the consumer, as well as Meenakshi also gets equal amount credited to her account. This is how the ecosystem works. So I think we have run out of the time, and thank you very much. You have been very patient listeners.
Thank you very much.